There comes a moment in every life when the noise of the world becomes too heavy to bear, when success no longer feels fulfilling, and even joy fades faster than it used to. In that quiet pause between exhaustion and longing, you stop, and somewhere deep within, a soft voice begins to whisper, "Maybe it's time to go home." Not home to a place, but home to yourself, to your breath, to your heart, to that sacred stillness inside that you may have forgotten, but that has never forgotten you. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within." Do not seek it. Without peace is not something we achieve, it's something we remember. This is not a journey of changing the world. It is a journey of changing the way we see the world. And that is why Breath Journey was created. It is not just a channel, but a sanctuary, a place to breathe, to slow down, and to come home to yourself. Through this journey, we'll walk together along the timeless path of Buddhist wisdom, through mindfulness, gratitude, compassion, and the art of letting go, to rediscover a simple, profound truth. Peace has never left you. It has always been here, quietly pulsing in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every still moment you've overlooked. So take a deep breath, let go of what weighs you down, and with Breath Journey, begin the gentle return, back to where you truly belong, the home within. Life moves quickly, doesn't it? One moment you're rushing through your day, trying to meet deadlines, answer messages, and please everyone around you, and before you realize it, another day has slipped away. Sometimes it feels like we're all running in a race with no finish line, chasing something we can't even name. Yet beneath all the noise, beneath the stress and expectations, there is a quiet space inside you that has always been still. It waits patiently for you to return. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." The first step to staying calm and positive is awareness, the kind of awareness that transforms ordinary moments into sacred pauses. Because life isn't asking you to run faster, it's asking you to notice. Imagine your mind as a garden. Whatever you plant there will grow. If you plant seeds of worry, anxiety, and fear, your inner garden becomes overgrown with weeds. But if you plant seeds of mindfulness, gratitude, and kindness, your mind will bloom with peace. Buddhism calls this right mindfulness, the practice of knowing where your mind is and gently guiding it back when it drifts away. Our minds are powerful. They can build worlds, or they can burn them down. But mindfulness gives you the power to choose which world you live in. When you wake up in the morning, before reaching for your phone, take one simple breath. Feel the air entering your lungs and then leaving. In that small moment, you're already home. There's a story from the Buddhist teachings. A monk once came to the Buddha, exhausted and discouraged. He said, "I've tried so hard to find peace, but my mind won't stop racing." The Buddha smiled and asked, "Have you ever seen a river that tries to stop flowing?" The monk shook his head. "Then why do you try to stop your thoughts from moving?" the Buddha said. "Let them flow, but don't jump into the current." That is the essence of mindfulness. It doesn't mean fighting your thoughts or pretending to be calm. It means observing your mind the way you would watch a river, seeing the ripples, the movement, the current, but staying on the shore. And the moment you realize, I'm thinking again, you've already returned to the present. That awareness itself is a small miracle. When you live this way, even the simplest experiences become extraordinary. Drinking a cup of tea and feeling its warmth against your hands, hearing rain tapping on the window, watching the sunset dissolve into colors you can't quite name. These aren't just moments, they're invitations to come home to yourself. Mindfulness doesn't mean you'll never feel stress again. It means that stress no longer controls you. Instead of reacting to life, you begin to respond to it. When someone speaks to you with anger, you don't have to return that anger. You can take a breath and choose kindness. When a problem arises, you don't have to panic. You can look at it clearly, with a calm heart. That is the quiet power of awareness. It doesn't shout, it doesn't fight, it simply sees. And in seeing, everything begins to transform. There's a teaching that says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. That space is where your peace lives. It's the space between the thought and your reaction, between fear and acceptance, between control and letting go. And every time you pause, every time you breathe before speaking, you expand that space a little more. Over time, that space becomes your home. In Buddhism, mindfulness isn't limited to meditation. It's about presence in everything you do. When you walk, walk fully. When you eat, really taste your food. When you listen, truly listen, without preparing what you'll say next. Each time you come back to the present moment, you are watering the seeds of joy in your own mind. The Buddha once said that the present moment is the only reality we can truly touch. Everything else, the past, the future, is just a shadow. So how do you begin? Start small. Take one mindful breath when you wake up. Feel one heartbeat of gratitude before you fall asleep. And whenever your mind wanders, gently whisper to yourself, "Come back, my friend. You're safe here." Being positive doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means seeing clearly and choosing peace anyway. It's a kind of positivity that doesn't depend on circumstances but grows from understanding. You begin to see that every challenge, every loss, every mistake is not an enemy, but a teacher. Mindfulness teaches us to meet life as it is, without judgment, without resistance, to simply say, "This is what's happening now," and breathe through it. In that acceptance, something begins to change. The world softens, the heart opens, and what once felt unbearable becomes bearable. So today, take a moment to pause. Close your eyes. Feel your breath moving in and out. Let everything else fall away, the noise, the tasks, the worries. Because right now, in this very breath, you are not behind. You are simply breathing. And in this breath, you have already come home. Peace is not found when the storm ends, but when we learn to be still within the storm. That is the first lesson of Buddhist wisdom, the power of mindfulness to turn ordinary moments into sacred ones, and to remind us that serenity isn't something we have to search for. It's something we remember right here within ourselves. When your mind begins to settle, when you learn to pause in the middle of life's constant movement, something gentle starts to bloom within you. It's called gratitude. Gratitude is not about polite words or saying thank you out of habit. It's the deep realization that simply being alive is already a miracle. In the Buddhist scriptures, there's a story of a poor man who came to the Buddha complaining about his life. "I have nothing to be happy about," he said. The Buddha looked at him and asked, "Do you have eyes?" The man nodded. "Do you have arms and legs?" "Yes," he said quietly. Then the Buddha smiled. "You already possess treasures that many would give their lives to have." The man began to cry. He left that day still poor, but with a wealth that no one could take from him, the wealth of gratitude. We are not so different from that man. How often do we wake up and forget that breathing is a gift? How often do we focus on what we lack instead of what is already here? Gratitude shifts our attention. It turns the heart from scarcity to sufficiency, from comparison to appreciation. When you start to practice gratitude, life may not change immediately, but the light within you does. And when that inner light changes, everything you see begins to look different. Try something simple. When you wake up, smile. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've been given another day to live, a day to love, to learn, to breathe, to begin again. And before you sleep, write down 3 things you are grateful for. Maybe it's a warm cup of coffee, a friend's message, or the quiet beauty of an afternoon sky. You'll find your heart softening. Your mind will stop chasing and start arriving. But gratitude isn't just for the easy moments. Sometimes the greatest gifts are hidden inside our struggles, because it's often pain that shapes us into who we are meant to become. The Buddha once said, "There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path." When you begin to feel grateful even for your challenges, you step onto that path. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this here to teach me?" That single shift transforms suffering into wisdom. And from gratitude, compassion naturally arises. Compassion is the purest form of human strength, the ability to understand the suffering of others without judgment, without condition. There's a story in the Dhammapada about a man who insulted the Buddha in front of many people. The Buddha stayed silent, smiling softly. When the man was done, the Buddha asked, If someone offers you a gift and you choose not to accept it, who does the gift belong to? The man replied, "It belongs to the one who offered it." The Buddha said, "Exactly. I do not accept your anger, so it remains with you." That is compassion, not the weakness of avoidance, but the power of understanding. When your heart opens, you begin to see that everyone suffers in their own way. The angry person may be afraid, the cold and distant one may be deeply hurt. The one who disappointed you may never have learned how to love themselves. When you see that truth, you stop wanting to retaliate. You simply want to understand. Understanding is the foundation of love, and love is the essence of compassion. A compassionate heart is not weak. It is the strongest heart of all. It allows you to stay calm even when the world is turbulent. Compassion doesn't mean allowing others to hurt you. It means refusing to let anger control you. It means stopping the cycle of pain right where you stand. When one person ends the chain of hatred, the world gains another seed of peace. From there you realize something beautiful. Gratitude nurtures peace within, while compassion spreads peace outward. One helps you feel whole, the other helps you make others whole. They are like two wings of the same bird. Together, they lift the heart beyond suffering and fear. Imagine living this way. You wake up with gratitude. You smile at the sunlight. You are kind to yourself, gentle with others. You no longer chase perfection. You simply choose to be present. Life doesn't have to be flawless. It only needs to be real, warm, and kind. That is how the Buddha taught us to keep the heart calm, to practice gratitude so that we can see the light, and to cultivate compassion so that we can soften the darkness around us. The one who lives with gratitude walks in heaven. The one who lives with compassion turns even hell into a field of flowers. When your heart holds both gratitude and compassion, every place you walk becomes a sanctuary. And with each breath, you silently whisper a prayer for the world. May I be at peace. May all beings be at peace. This is the second lesson of our journey, that true happiness doesn't come from having more, but from expanding the heart. Gratitude helps you realize you already have enough. Compassion helps you share that enoughness with the world. And in that wholeness, peace is no longer something you seek. It becomes the natural rhythm of your breath. When you've learned to be grateful and to open your heart with compassion, another door naturally begins to open. The door of letting go, the path toward true freedom. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not weakness, nor is it indifference. In Buddhism, letting go is the art of understanding, the wisdom to see things as they truly are, and to accept that not everything can be controlled. Someone once asked the Buddha, "How can I stop suffering?" The Buddha answered, "By letting go." The man then asked, "But what should I let go of?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Let go of the idea that things must happen the way you want them to." Our suffering rarely comes from life itself. It comes from how tightly we cling to our expectations of life. We struggle because we want to control everything: how people treat us, how the future unfolds, how the story should end. And when reality refuses to follow our script, we feel pain, frustration, and disappointment. But life isn't a song we can conduct. It's a river, always flowing, sometimes calm, sometimes wild, but always moving in its own rhythm. There's a story the Buddha told his disciples. A man was struck by an arrow, and instead of pulling it out, he began to question, "Who shot me? Why did they do it? What kind of arrow is this? Is the tip sharp or round?" He kept asking questions until it was too late. The Buddha said, "The wise do not waste their lives wondering who shot the arrow. They simply remove it." Letting go is exactly that, removing the arrow of suffering from your own heart instead of analyzing or blaming. When you let go, you're not running away from the problem. You're simply choosing not to let it rule your peace. Letting go can be painful. You might have to release someone you love, a dream that didn't come true, or even an image of yourself that no longer fits who you've become. But if you look closely, you'll realize that letting go doesn't take away what's truly yours. It only removes the attachment that keeps you from breathing freely. Letting go doesn't mean living carelessly either. The Buddha called it the middle path, the way between two extremes, not too much and not too little, not indulgence and not denial, not control and not chaos. Before his enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama practiced severe asceticism for 6 years. His body grew weak, his spirit weary. One day he heard a musician tuning a stringed instrument. The master said, "If the string is too tight, it will snap. If it's too loose, it won't play." At that moment, Siddhartha understood. Truth lies not in extremes, but in balance. From that realization came the middle path, a way of living with steadiness and harmony. It's not about rejecting the world, nor being consumed by it. It's about walking the line in between, with awareness as your compass. The middle path isn't just philosophy, it's a way of being. When you eat, eat mindfully, not to indulge, not to starve. When you work, give your full presence, but don't lose yourself in ambition. When you rest, rest fully. When you speak, speak from your heart. You don't have to do less or more, only to do things with awareness instead of habit. Practicing the middle path is another form of letting go of the need to prove yourself, to always be right, to always control the outcome. You learn to soften, to release tension, to act without being consumed by action. You still participate in life, but you're no longer a prisoner of it. Letting go isn't loss, it's liberation. You're no longer tied to fear or desire. You begin to understand that everything is impermanent, coming and going like clouds in the sky. When you stop grasping, you start truly living. Think about it. How many things have you worried about that, in the end, didn't really matter? How many things did you think you couldn't survive losing, and yet here you are, still breathing, maybe even stronger? The things you once clung to were never yours to keep. They were lessons, teaching you that love doesn't require control, and peace doesn't depend on possession. When you truly understand letting go, your heart becomes light. You're no longer dragged by the past or haunted by the future. You start living fully in the only moment that ever exists, the present. The Buddha said, "When I let go, I realize I lose nothing. Everything I truly need is already within me." Try to look at life through that lens, gently, openly. Allow what wants to come, to come. Allow what needs to go, to go. When you stop clinging, you see that life moves perfectly well without your resistance, and within that flow, you find peace. Letting go is the next step after gratitude and compassion. Gratitude teaches you to appreciate life. Compassion teaches you to understand life. Letting go teaches you to be free within it. The three are not separate. They form a bridge that carries the heart toward deep peace. Imagine this. A grateful person sees life as a gift. A compassionate person sees everyone as deserving of love. And a person who has learned to let go sees everything as already complete. When all three come together, peace is no longer something to search for, because peace becomes who you are. When I let go, everything comes to me. That is the power of letting go, a power not born of force, but of release. It is also the essence of the middle path, not extreme, not forced, but in harmony with yourself and with the world. Because only when you learn to relax your grip on life can you finally hold what truly matters: peace. After learning to be grateful, to open your heart with compassion, and to let go, there is only one step left on the path home to peace: to slow down, breathe, and truly live. In today's world, we are often taught that happiness lies somewhere ahead of us, in a better job, a new house, a relationship yet to come. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that peace is not in the future. It's right here, in this very breath. The Buddha once said, "When a person knows they are breathing in, they are awake." It sounds simple, but it holds one of life's deepest truths. Most of us don't really live. We just run. We run from our past. We run toward the future. We run after our desires and away from our fears. Then, exhausted, we wonder why we feel lost. But the moment you stop, just for a breath, and listen to the quiet rhythm inside you, something miraculous happens. You realize peace was never gone. You had only forgotten it was always here. Imagine yourself in the middle of a busy street, cars rushing by, people talking, lights flashing, and yet right there, you stop. You close your eyes and take one deep breath. You feel the air filling your lungs, the body expanding and the noise fading into the background. The world outside hasn't changed, but your awareness has. That is meditation in motion. Meditation isn't limited to sitting cross-legged in silence. It is the art of living fully in each moment. When you wash the dishes, know you are washing the dishes. When you walk, know you are walking. When you eat, taste your food. When you listen, really listen, not to reply, but to understand. When you live like this, time stops chasing you. It becomes your companion. Each minute is no longer something to spend or waste. It becomes a gift to be lived deeply. Once a disciple asked the Buddha, "Master, what is the secret of peace?" The Buddha replied, "Breathe in and know you are breathing in. Breathe out and know you are breathing out." At first, the disciple was silent, puzzled. The Buddha smiled and added, "You think it's simple, but can you truly live this way?" Most of us breathe without awareness. Our breaths are short, hurried, shallow, as if we're afraid to slow down. But when you begin to breathe deeply and consciously, something extraordinary happens. Your mind begins to settle, your body relaxes, and your spirit begins to heal. The breath is the bridge between body and mind. When you lose mindfulness, your breath becomes rushed and broken. When you regain peace, your breath flows smooth and steady. The breath is a mirror, reflecting the state of your soul. Sometimes, slowing down simply means accepting that you don't need to be anywhere else. You don't need to become anyone else. You don't need to achieve anything grand. You just need to be fully alive in this moment. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's something you notice. You notice how blue the sky is today. You notice the cool water running over your hands. You notice that even though life isn't perfect, you are still breathing, still learning, still loved. When seen through a peaceful mind, the simplest things become sacred. As you slow down, the world begins to look different. Not because it has changed, but because you have. You no longer react to everything around you. You start to understand that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own fears and wounds. You become gentler with others and with yourself. You allow mistakes, differences, and imperfections to exist. You allow life to be as it is. And in that acceptance, something beautiful emerges. Freedom. The kind of freedom that doesn't come from controlling life, but from no longer needing to. Living slowly doesn't mean withdrawing from life or giving up ambition. It means living deeply instead of quickly. You still work, dream, and love, but you do it from a different place. Not to chase, but to connect. You stop searching for happiness as a goal and start creating it in small, intentional ways. A kind word, a shared smile, a mindful breath. Happiness becomes an act, not a reward. When you live like that, peace is no longer a destination at the end of the road. Peace is the road. Now close your eyes for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath in. Feel the air fill your lungs, your chest rising gently. Exhale slowly. Let go of everything heavy. You don't need to become anything more, because in this very moment, you are enough. Everything you've been searching for, love, acceptance, stillness, is already here in this breath. Breathe in, peace enters with you. Breathe out, you smile back at life. The Buddha once said, "There is no path to peace. Peace is the path." And perhaps this is where our journey ends, not as a conclusion, but as a beginning of a gentler way to live, a beginning of learning to breathe in the middle of the storm, to smile amid imperfection, and to love in the midst of change. When you live like this, every day becomes a meditation, every breath a lesson, and every moment a miracle. Peace does not come when the world grows quiet. It comes when you find stillness within yourself. The journey to peace was never out there. It has always been here, within you, within your breath, within your heart. And if there is one message left for you, it is this: slow down, breathe, feel. Because within that silence, within that breath, you will find everything you've ever been looking for. And so, after all the searching, the striving, and the endless noise, you realize you've arrived. Not on a distant mountain, not at the end of the path, but right here, within this quiet breath, within this present moment. You understand now that peace was never a destination. It was the path itself. It was never something to find, but something to remember. Peace has always been within you, in the calm rhythm beneath your beating heart, in the stillness between two thoughts, in the quiet love resting beneath your pain. You begin to see that happiness is not the absence of suffering, but the ability to smile within it. Freedom is not about control, it's about trusting life. And love, when born from understanding, can transform even pain into light. You breathe in, feeling life enter you. You breathe out, and feel yourself free. This is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a softer, more mindful way of living, a way of walking slower, with gratitude in your heart, compassion in your hands, and peace as your quiet companion. And if one day you lose your way again, remember this: pause, breathe in, breathe out, and come back to breath journey. Because no matter where you are, no matter what the world becomes, you have always been home. Home is not a place. It is the peace within your soul.